Hi, Steve Tartalia here from Martial Art World. I'm here with two legendary martial artists, DePasquale Sr. and DePasquale Jr.
Yes.
Welcome to Martial Art World.
Pleasure to be here, Steve. Pleasure to be here.
So you have a lot going on these days. You have the seminar you're doing. You have martial art magazines that have taken off. You're working on TV. What's going on?
Quite a few things are going on right now, but most of all, we have a successful seminar up here, the Northeast Symposium. It's the second annual Northeast Symposium that I'm co-promoting with Bob McEwen and Ralph Scott. And for the most part, my magazine, Karate International, has taken off. We finally reached the point now where it's got a good readership, and we're right in the same vein as all the other magazines when it comes to the readership of it and the newsstand circulation. So I'm very proud of that, and it's reached a lot of people out there that are jiu-jitsu practitioners, karatekas, judo practitioners. As far as television is concerned, we have possibly a TV show that we're working right now with New Line Cinema and Channel 9. I'm doing with Fraser Prince, Rich Dillon, and the IFOJJ is our organization, which is this organization here, International Federation of Jiu-Jitsu, which my father founded, and I'll let him speak a little bit about the IFOJJ and about some of the accomplishments he has because he's the main man.
Yeah. Tell us about the IFOJJ.
Well, the International Federation of Jiu-Jitsu was formed to be used as a social organization, to get together with a lot of people and to teach the techniques in an area that's friendly, a friendly atmosphere. And we've been very successful so far. We have members all over the world. We've been to Italy twice. We'll probably be going back again very soon. We're going to England. We've been naturally to Canada. We've had an invitation to go to Mexico and several other places. And all in all, the Federation is growing and growing and growing.
Well, no, the magazine, this is my newest issue, Karate International magazine, and what we try to do is cover a lot of different types of areas, such as the IFOJ Jiu-Jitsu areas, Aikido. Unfortunately, Jiu-Jitsu practitioners and Aikido practitioners, Tai-Jitsu practitioners, Ninjutsu practitioners, never really got a lot of, I should say, magazine play, if you want to call it that, editorial. So we've been able to really kind of zoom in on that, as well as the Taekwondo. We have a lot of columns in the magazine. A lot of the other magazines are doing the same thing. They're finally using techniques that deal with Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido, Ninjutsu in their magazines. All the magazines, and I want to say this, on the books for everybody, that Inside Kung Fu, Inside Karate, Black Belt, all the magazines serve as a purpose. And the purpose is to give the martial artists out in the communities, out in the country, out in the international market, a chance to be able to read about the people that they want to read about the techniques, about the places that people reach when they go places, and the people obviously that they deal with. And I think for the most part, all magazine publications, okay, especially that zoom in on the martial arts circles, serve as that main purpose.
Could you tell us a little bit about what it was like training in the 40s? I know you go all the way back to the 40s is when you started training in martial arts, and I reckon you're one of the few Western people that were actually doing this kind of thing back then.
They had a couple of people that was working in those days. Started with Kiyoshi Nakai. Then he was I believe it was on 69th Street in New York City in Manhattan off of Broadway.
So this is where you did your early training in the 40s in New York City?
Yeah, that's where I started. I was just a kid. I was 17 years old at the time. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. I met a lot of very, very nice people. They had another old-timer by the name of Charlie Nelson, who was a Marine Corps.
Yes, Charlie Nelson does his street self-defense, right?
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I understand he's still around. I haven't seen him in about 35 years. But he was an old-timer. And, of course, there's other people like Pete Sirangano from Staten Island. He's been around for a number of years as well.
So were these training buddies of yours back then? Did you all go to the same school, or were you just playing stickball in the neighborhood?
Well, no, we each had training in different areas, but Pete and people like Johnny Cool and people like that, they were around, and they became legends. They really did.
Now, at that time, I thought that I would think that martial arts or Japanese martial arts was sort of closed door. I mean, that they wouldn't teach to Westerners. How did you break into it?
Well, I really broke into it after I came back from World War II, and I was with the railroad police, and they had very great respect for junta, for policemen. And of course, if you had a hanko, you could say latrine closed on January 8, 1943. As long as it's got a hanko, it's official. So they were very, very impressed, but my instructor who gave me a hanko document, and of course then the doors opened up for me. They were hesitant about teaching Westerners, and I just was lucky enough that I fell into place with them.
Hmm. And back then, you were this martial art was a style of jiu-jitsu, correct?
Well, jiu-jitsu is the only thing that I really did like to study, because it's got its own flavor that it refers to me.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I can do that I couldn't do otherwise.
So let me just ask you, at that time, people had military training or some boxing training. Did you feel that you had like against a street attack, or for whatever reason, did you feel that your jiu-jitsu experience at that time was taking you to places that no one else had ever gone, and gave you an edge on everyone back then? What was your inspiration?
Well, it's hard to answer a question like that. As far as inspiration is concerned, I'm not inspired by something. It's just that I found that the techniques taught in jiu-jitsu, if you have confidence in the techniques and you do them with confidence, with a flowing type of activity, body activity, that things would work. And I found it would be very, very humane, that you could control people's going into a cell, getting out of a cell, going into a car, getting out of a car, stand them up, sitting down, put on cuffs, take off the cuffs. It worked without having to make blood all over the floor or something like that. Because it's not nice to hurt people.
No.
To hurt people is just a form of savagery. It has to be a very philosophic type of thing. You make a game out of it, in effect. As my old instructor, Junji Saito, used to say, you must practice with a laughing heart. And if you were to laugh on the mat, he'd say, oh, please tell me the joke. Because if you're happy in what you're doing, you'll learn a lot. But if you're going to train in jiu-jitsu to be very, very strong and very, very hard, you won't learn. First, you have to learn the technique. You have to learn the direction the hand is twisted, the direction that you force the body into, and that sort of thing. Then you can do it as fast and as hard as you want.
Right.
But you can't learn it if you're going to try to be hard in the beginning. It's like throwing a baseball. The only power is in the hand. It's not anywhere.